Hello. As I promised, today we will make the character move. But first things first, let's discuss what we have at the moment. Here is our map. Every pixel on the map have its own coordinate x and y. X increasing to the right and y increasing to the bottom. Here in top left corner we have start of our coordinate system with coordinate 0 and 0. And here in the right bottom corner we have coordinates 800 and 640. Each tile on the screen, as well as character, is 16 by 16 pixels tall and wide. And our player standing at the coordinates 740 and 450. Okay, let's get back to the code. Our point of interest is the game loop function. Let's consider everything else as a black box for now, and we will expand all these functions later during the course. Okay, the game is running at 60 frames per second, which means the game render each frame once in 16.67 milliseconds. And this function is called every time the frame is being rendered. Here we drew our character exactly as the coordinates I mentioned earlier. Everything looks good so far, except the fact that our character is stuck in place. And we can't do anything with this fact because we hard-coded the character coordinates. Which means that to change character position we have to update the code and run the program. For example, let's move character to another place. To solve this issue, I introduce you the basic programming primitive variable. Variable is the name that you can associate with the value and use this name every time you need specific value in code. For example, we can update our code to introduce two variables for character coordinates. To define a variable, you write variable name, then the assignment operator, which is equal sign, and the value. So let's add another variable. And update this function call with variables. You can use variables every time you need some specific value. As you can see, our code now makes a lot more sense, and it's more readable even for another fellow programmer who will open it for the first time. But our character is still grounded. Let's fix it. The main power of variable is that you can update it when the program runs. Let's try to move character towards the bridge. To do so, we have to decrease character x coordinate within every frame. So, we will subtract 1 pixel from player position every time frame is rendered. Let's test it. And still didn't work. Okay, let's debug what happened. We can use Python built-in function print to check the variable value. As you can see, the variable value is 719 in every frame. But why? Every time the game goes through the game loop function, we reset the player x value to its initial 720 pixels value. So the changes from the previous frame are lost. We stuck in the loop, we set it back to initial value and subtract 1, and then set to initial value and subtract 1 again. And now is the proper time to introduce you to another concept related to the variable scope. For now, I will keep it simple and introduce you to the local and global scopes. Basically, scope is defined by the place in the code where you define your variables. If you define variable inside the function, it has local scope. If you define variables outside the functions in the module level, it has global scope. So you can see global variables inside the function, but you can see local variables outside the function they defined in. Okay, enough theory, and let's go back to our game. We will move player X and player Y variables to the global scope. And let's test it. As you can see, nothing have changed. Player is still being rendered and its place. But we still want our character to move. So let's do it. And it fails. One last important thing I have to say about variable scopes. If you want to change a global variable inside the function, you have to use special global statement. There are good reasons why you don't want to modify global variables in the local context, but it's far beyond the scope of this video. So, let's use global statement. And run the game. Finally, our character moves. We can play around and change movement speed, direction, etc. For example, let's increase speed a bit. You can also go in the Y direction. Our character is moving, but it moves all by itself. In the next video I will give you possibility to control the character, introducing another very powerful programming concept. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for future updates, and ciao!